Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on the ICC following Grandmaster Olympus, who is a fantastic player. I believe Grandmaster Axel Bachmann. Alright, so we're seeing Nimzo Indian defense. I was just following him at the 3-minute pairing, and he has a massive 3-minute best. 25-55 in the 3-minute pairing is fantastic. But okay, this is the 5-minute pairing. Let's see what we can get out of this one. Queen's Gambit, declined exchange variation, and okay, well, we have the typical two plans here for white, well, really the minority attack, the main one here, with the knight being on f3. The other one is sometimes a central expansion, but not necessarily with the knight on f3 now. So we could always see this type of idea, this a3, b4. And with h3 being played, this is a somewhat weakened white kingside position, so white, of course, has to be a bit cautious of some potential attack. If this knight isn't taken, for example, you could have f5, and that knight pretty much won't go anywhere if he's ever taken at that point. F takes would open up the f-file, more avenues of an attack towards the white king. So how to meet the threat against this? Playing f5, one of the drawbacks with f5 would allow a nice home for a white knight by way of c4. So this is changing very quick, this structure right here. f3 weakened e3, and black was quick to pounce on the e3 square, and at the same time pins g2. So bishop takes pawn is on, and now we're going to have the win of a pawn. Is that what we're seeing here? Just a quick win of a pawn here. This dual threat is still on. f4, and the queen just inches even further into the white position and even deeper. Bishop takes pawn, queen takes pawn with check, and this is going to fall quick. Knight takes pawn, queen takes pawn. The knight can't block. The knight would be in a pin as soon as he takes on e4. So there goes a pawn. Let's see the technique at this point. I don't know that we're going to see any compensation for this. If here's one move. If knight e4, there could be queen g6, pinning the knight to a queen, and even adding additional fuel with bishop to f5 if needed. So offering a queen exchange, the bishop's now going to have to react. Bishop to e6 or d7. Bishop to e6. If knight e5, you could give him a kick and then go here. Okay, instead bishop here. Quite sure what that's doing. That's dropping a pawn. I guess that was going to happen no matter what. You'll notice if bishop f5 immediately, knight here would come with the fork, and white would be picking up a minor piece. Black would have to give up the exchange at that point. But okay, this pawn seems like he's going to be won back. Wonder what white is considering here. Which knight to capture with? If he's not taken right away, is f5 just not going to secure this pawn? I wonder what white is thinking about at this point. Is there something that I'm missing? b4. What's wrong with taking this pawn? I guess we're going to find out. I'm sorry. Probably knight takes pawn, rook a to e8? Yeah, but still, the knight could come back to d6 and throw a punch back at the rook, and the rook would have to leave the e-file, so I'm not so sure about this b4 move. Going for a minority attack, but why not grab that guy? We're going to find out. Okay, well, black is there to secure it. And now white still has to be a bit careful. This bishop, not the greatest piece in the world. It's obstructed by these pawns. No quick return to the queen side of the board, where, well, that's where the action is going to be taking place soon. We're going to have a b5 break. And also a super active knight on the e5 square. Seems like there is some compensation for being down a pawn here. Notice the pawn that is absent here, the h pawn. I'm not so sure its corresponding pawn, black's h7 pawn, can really be put to great use. It's different if it's a central pawn and the majority changes in some way, but not the case here, really. I mean, on the king side, but that's a long way off before this h-pawn could kind of show itself in the position. So I guess with a5, white is looking for something like knight a4 to c5. Playing a6 would be really bad. think you just give up all of your dark squares. And if you can't break through at this c5, with this, if you can't control the c5 square, I think black will have a very tough road ahead. Knight c7. This will be quite interesting to see how black can work around this knight. About a 45-second advantage for black here. I wonder, okay, it is stopping b5. I wonder if there's ideas of knight a4, knight a6. How do you get rid of this guy? This bishop could always drop back. If he starts to become a bit annoying, you kind of offset this knight here. Whoa. Alright, well, this is going to be a slow approach. Black's going to one day have to try and get an h6 and g5. This move is locking down the queen side of the board. White has control of the dark squares, and we'll have to proceed with caution, certainly, with this knight on e5. The bishop, I don't know if I finished my thought there, the bishop could always drop back to e8 to cancel out the knight. So white is switching back over to this side of the board. Not sure what this bishop is up to. This is a tough one. Whoa, it's white who's actually making a break. That's a sharp move. Pawn takes, initially I was thinking the rook over here, but that allows for h5. You could take out the bishop and then take here, but I don't know that you want to give up the knight. Pawn takes, pawn, knight takes would be the reply. And this knight will be quick to come back over to his strong post on e5. Very well supported knight. Even if challenged one day by the only piece that can challenge him, the knight on c7, he's still not going anywhere. And if he's ever captured, well then white is going to have a connected pass pawn. So, okay, we're going to have a good knight versus a not-so-great bishop. Rook takes, and then maybe trying to come over here to put pressure on this pawn. Or pawn takes, that would open up the c-file. White would be very quick to make use of the c-file. So, despite being down a pawn, it's white who has a lot of pressure. The rook is there to defend against knight h6 or knight f6. No, actually the knight could still play here. And that was actually a move. I think that was a missed opportunity. We're going to go back after the game. Knight h6 to here would have landed a fork. Okay. This is going to be tough to get rolling here. h6, now we're going to have f6. Ooh. Minute 17 each. This is a very, very tight game. I'm not even sure what to suggest. f6 seems very, very strong. Okay, getting out of any maybe rook checks on the f-file. Maybe a good practical decision there. Just making a quick move. Knight here is back on. Knight h6. This is the second time it's going to be missed. Oh, man. Maybe black saw that and wanted to just get rid of the knight and get a pawn back. Having a bishop and two pawns. Black was maybe being a bit sneaky. Okay, yeah, I could see that as being the case, especially now going in for this variation. We're going to have a bishop and two pawns for the rook exchange. You could get active like this, rook to e8, or rook to e5 to e8, I should say. And then getting back here, rook takes pawn, rook coming over here to b8, grab him, and then him. I think the white king will be responsible for stopping both of these pawns. White has to make sure that they keep dark square control. If you ever have like g4 in, the king plays here, and you're not going to break the white king position down. I don't even know how you get this bishop working so well. This is tough. 40 seconds each. Rook b8, grab here. No, he's not going to go anywhere fast. Very, very interesting game here. Alright, well, we're close to having something like g3. Bishop to f3. You could have like a perpetual check if the king is on g5, g3, bishop f3, bishop g4, back and forth. Maybe that's what's going to be tried. Oh, the king is sneaking up. I think this is going to be a draw. Objectively, a draw. I think black has to go for something like these checks. Alright, just getting in. Oh, I don't know about this. This is losing now. Yeah, the king had to step up. I'm pretty sure he had to step up there. We're going to have a look back. Maybe I was a bit too strong saying that this is losing because of these checks still being in there. Wow, what an interesting game. Pawn push. Look at white. Oh, this bishop is a long way off from even getting this pawn. Ouch. Giving up the rook, and now you're not catching that a2 pawn. 5 seconds to try and convert this. 3 seconds. Clearly objectively winning, and we have resignation right there. Oh, man. What a game. He didn't even put it to the test. He didn't put White's mouse to the test there. Wow, let's go back over this game. Very, very interesting. Curious about those forks, and also about the compensation, if any, that White had. I believe White did have compensation, being down that pawn, but having a very strong knight on e5. Let's see what Stockfish has to say. Alright. Queen's Gambit. Declined. Exchange. Nothing crazy popping up. Curious also about the queen when there were these double attacks against h3 and e3, the black queen being on g3. Nothing so fancy just yet. This is a typical move. Challenging the bishop. He'll have enough support if bishop takes bishop, which is what was played. Queen is there to recapture. Enough defense now. And again, if he's not taken right now, f5 is going to be thrown in. It just popped up for a moment there, some rook move. And then I think f5 is available. Yeah. Certainly the drawback is knight e5. But okay, he was chopped off right away. D takes, knight e5. Or knight there. Nothing, no great shift. And instead of bishop f5, it's suggesting f5. No great difference, I guess. f5 is, you know what, of these two moves, I'd be more inclined to be going with, I think, the bishop move. Not wanting to give up that e5 square. Let's see. This is an opportunity to maybe even close it up. For a moment there, the computer suggested f4. Now, that's interesting. Locking up the position. Can't do this takes. Bishop's dropping. That was an interesting moment. Good idea to have in mind. Nice transition there, structure-wise, eluding this pawn capture. Okay, we don't have that. f3 instead. And now in comes queen g5. And this is not so bad for White. Still saying White is better. How about that? Even being down a pawn. Queen there. Wow. Definitely compensation here. Because of knight to d6. And after rook to e7, yeah, he should have been picked up. This is, I think, one of the main things of the game. Yeah, White spent about, what? About 35 seconds on this move, so certainly was considering that. But maybe wanted to go a more positional route, not wanting to, let's say, well, what could be some of the drawbacks? Maybe you're opening up, well, you definitely are opening up the e4 square and activating the bishop a bit more. Well, black is maybe about a half a pawn advantage, but very difficult now. Still for black, being up a pawn. f5. Some action on the queen side. No great shifts just yet. Saying zeros. Close to it. Nothing significant here. Certainly compensation, and it was again around here. I do think that we have some forking possibility. Yes, it is on. It was missed. How much time was spent on this? About 6 seconds? Yeah, I think both players thought this is still being stopped, but it's not. Knight h6 is apparently a game winner. +2 is saying a lot. Rook takes, rook takes. Rook d7. Yeah. What's the alternative? Knight h6, king here. Knight f5 with the fork. Okay. Both players, I guess, missed it. And then black, I believe, well, it's still back on f6 at this point, I guess. I think eventually there's still some fork idea. This point right here, I thought you could do it. But we would end up having something quite similar. These, a bishop and 2 pawns versus the rook in balanced position. So not as significant as a bit earlier. That first opportunity for knight h6 is apparently very, very strong. f6 was played. And now what about this ending? Still very, very close to equal. These pawns get rolling. And where is there a shift? Oh, let me also just point out, I was talking about the dark squares at this point. I believe if I throw on g4, it'll read zeros. No, maybe not. Oh, let's see. I didn't mean zeros. I meant actually an advantage for white. King to g4 could be met with rook here. I meant to, well, I was going to say after king to g5, rook g8, but this is covered. Rook e5 is there, and again, you're just not advancing these pawns. You have to be very delicate with their moves and make sure you control dark squares. He'll be around to control the light squares. So that's why we're having h4 here, not g4 for sure. Still reading as zeros. And yeah, white is apparently going to be the better side, or what? Giving it some time to think here. About a pawn and a half advantage. Yeah, this does seem quite difficult now. I thought there was this opportunity for g3 and some checking moves on the g4 and f3 squares, but I guess not. This was the big lemon. They're both in bullet mode at this point, so it's easy to see mistakes happen, of course. King f5 is apparently better, with rook f8, king g5, rook b8, and now... why is king f5 being suggested again? Well, that's interesting. What's wrong with rook takes pawn here? Oh man, c5? That's a tough one to see. That's definitely computer chess. And now to meet rook here with king e6. So that's why the king was coming back over to f5 for that weird variation. Okay. All right, but this one finished up with bishop c4. Was anything else missed? Now it's coming back to zeros. I thought bishop to c4 was a bad idea. Okay, now it's saying it is. Yeah, a bad idea. Oh, you know what that was? I think it was recognizing some back and forth thing on my part, and it starts to read it as 0, as if it's going to be like a repetition. Okay, so this is still true, that this is a bad choice at this point. Bishop to c4. Rook takes, bishop there. Did black have any opportunities to save this at this point? Check. Yeah, I was getting excited here on this point, thinking that black was going to win, but this rook is always here, and this is, now that the b pawn has been removed, he's going to be a runner very quick. He's going to be a passed pawn. So we have a check, another check. This is the main idea. Make sure that this pawn is stopped from advancing, and this rook will give itself up for both black pawns. That's how the game finished up. White's just going to be too quick, and this bishop is a long way off from catching this pawn. Even if he wasn't around, this is still going to be big trouble. It's just, he's not going to be caught. And the Grandmaster resigned at this point instead of even testing White's mouse here with 3.5 seconds remaining. So a very interesting game, showing some compensation clearly for the pawn in that one. Caught me off guard, and I hope you got something out of this video. Take care. Bye. So a slight lead in development. This will be a problem for black, their queen bishop, but has control over the d5 square, an isolated queen pawn position. Knight b4 to d5.